What instantly kills the vibe at a party? Story 1. You underestimate the power of an aggressive drunk. With a sprinkle of insanity. Went to a small cozy wedding party. And one of the guests, sister of the groom, brought her boyfriend of 5 months. Funny guy, easy to talk to. All cool until suddenly hit the fan entirely. The guy became incoherent. Threatened to rape the married couple's toddler if they don't stop pissing him off. Then got told off as everyone was rightfully pissed. Ran out of the garden hut away from the property. Threw himself to the floor and started simulating some kind of seizure. All while his girlfriend suffered a major panic attack through all of it out. Guilt and shame. Party ended with an ambulance and a police car. Story 2. The crying girl that needs everyone to console her. Get out of the bathroom, there's a line for me. I remember I was at a party once and this girl did that. But she thought she was too drunk, she wasn't, and was going to die. And got people to call an ambulance for her. We sat at a table drinking beers and rolling joints, Canada. And these paramedics and cops showed up and it was basically just an eye-roll fest. For everyone involved. Story 3. I was at a staff party with an open bar. And it reached the time when the first clusters of guests were leaving. When they went to get their coats from the closet, they discovered a young new team member who we thought had left hours ago. He had stripped off all his clothes, made a nest of jackets, sold everything, and passed out. Killed the vibe for sure. Story 4. When someone turns off the music and starts playing an acoustic guitar, this actually awakened a long-lost memory in my mind. Many years ago I was at a small party, consisting of mostly co-workers. Music was low and there was a ton of friendly chatter. Very nice vibe. Then one of the guests decided he was going to bring in his portable amp and electric guitar to lay down some sweet riffs. Many people tried to politely dissuade him, but there was no stopping him. After about 5 minutes of speed metal solo, the place quickly started to clear out. That single event was the talk of the office on the next work day. As I think of it right now, I can't stop laughing. Story 5. An overdose witnessed this. Host and friends went to a room to do a little booger sugar, but it must have been laced with fentanyl or something. They were found unresponsive, party over, paramedics, cops, etc. Narcan definitely saved them and they made a full recovery, but damn, what a horrible night. Story 6. In college, when we wanted to wrap up the party at 2 or 3 a.m., play Dark Side of the Moon, drops the energy. No one is being asked to leave. People are chill as they head out, no crazy disruptions for the neighbors. Not specifically the vibe killing that the rest of the posters are sharing, but similar. Story 7. A friend of mine announced she had to fart to the entire kitchen. While she was intoxicated, she proceeded to shit liquid diarrhea on herself. It hit the floor, it smelled terrible. Party ended before it really ever began. Guess she had some stomach bug or IBS or something. She ended up getting diapers for any gift-giving occasion after. No clue where she ended up, we lost touch a year or so later. I've had some experts weigh in to tell me nobody with IBS trusts farts. So I'm going to bend the knee to those soldiers battling their own colons and rule out IBS. I'll leave it in though for continuity. Story 8. Shortage of drinks when everything is closed at my own wedding, which I had procured enough alcohol to kill a medium-sized African country's population. The event coordinator came up to my wife and I like mid-dinner and was like, "We're going to run out of booze." I was like, if that's true, people would be leaving in ambulances. And it was late and snowy and we were way up on top of a mountain. But we were not going to run out of booze. So one person's sober mom made the most epic beer UN of all time down the mountain to the liquor store before it closed and we partied all night. Next morning we're taking inventory after the party, and there was a massive amount of alcohol left over, like several grand worth that we got to take home. No clue why the venue planner said we were running out, but we drank on that alcohol surplus for like a year before it ran out. Story 9. When someone gets extremely wasted and out of control, starts to pick fights, has drunk fits, will sprawl on the ground, needs 100% supervision, has to be carried around. You just want to chill and enjoy the party, but you can't 'cause you're stuck babysitting them. Story 10. Someone trying to show off a weapon. OMG, I did this at a party. Brought out my taser and started playing with it. That brought up the vibe. Until someone asked to see it and my dumbass let them. And they started being hella sus with it, almost tasing people, and I couldn't get it back. Thankfully I did, and I locked it in my car. And then that guy followed another friend home, and her friend stabbed him 6 times. Story 11. 4 or 5 guys randomly walking in that may or may not know the host. I had a party once with a bunch of ravers and didn't know half of them. Then some neighbors asked if they could come in. They were a little sketchy, but we said okay. And the second they walked in the house, my roommate's Boston Terrier started growling and walked them all right back out. That dog knew something. Story 12. One time, my brother 14 at the time wanted to see how hard it would be to dig out a 1 meter x 1 meter square hole out of the ground, Minecraft inspired. He spent a good amount of time over a weekend digging, until he got bored. It was mostly finished. Fast forward a couple months. I throw a party at my dad's house and we're having a blast. A bonfire out back and everything. A kind-hearted attendee noticed the pit in the ground, and made it his duty to guard the pit, for he did not want anyone to get hurt. Someone got hurt. Spoiler alert, it was him. He fell into the pit, our brave guard. Thankfully, we had a sober person there and they drove him to the hospital. But that instantly killed the vibe at the party. Story 13. Anybody whips out a crack, meth pipe or syringes, I'm out. I was once at a party where I knew nobody except a friend and his GF. The 3 of us ate some mushrooms, and I ended up having way more than I should have. I felt super uncomfortable, so I went and just chilled out in my car for like 6 hours. At some point my friend and his GF came and sat with me to make sure I was okay, and they convinced me to come back into the house where the party was. When I went inside, there were people smoking crack and shooting up in the house. It was absolutely wild, and once again I was super uncomfortable. I had a minor confrontation with a guy who turned out to be my friend's brother and decided to leave. I drove home because I didn't know what else to do. It was a very rural place, so cab or bus were not options. But as I was coming down from the mushrooms and driving through the countryside, the sun was rising, and I just remember feeling like I had been at a crossroads that night. And I really felt like I had picked the right path getting out of that crack house, and had been rewarded with a sunrise. It was both a super sketchy and super cool experience. Story 14. The person with a fresh breakup. If it's a chick, she's trying hard to act single, groping random guys, constantly wooing, screaming lyrics, and swearing. She tries hard to be the center of attention, knocks all the cups off the beer pong table, and constantly barges into other conversations. And then she crashes into a ball of sadness in the bathroom where random girls have to hold her hair and fix her mascara. If it's a guy, he rolls into the party 6 deep and is being physically dragged into the house. He is surrounded by other guys who are hyping him up and going around the house explaining to random girls how great he is. Strangers who are absolutely wasted give him advice and repetitive compliments. He ends up doing too many shots in a row and stumbles into the backyard to yak. Story 15. The dude who had too much. When I was about 15-16, a mate of mine threw a party because his parents were out of town. There was a dude at this party, all but down to 7.5 cl bottle of Southern Comfort straight from the bottle. Started falling over everywhere. Started throwing darts everywhere, but the dartboard then proceeded to throw up in the sink in the bathroom. Then got in the bath and slipped over, bringing the railing down. Got out and went and passed out in the host's parents' bed. They all antiqued him and wrote the usual shit on his face, drew D, swastikas, etc. He got up in the morning, had to apologize, and then got picked up by his dad and had to explain it all to him, and that lad was me. Learn from my mistakes, kids. Put Coke or lemonade in your Southern Comfort. Story 16. The sober person, usually a chick, who wants to be judgmental and passive-aggressive to drunk people during a conversation. We're drunk and can barely formulate a coherent conversation, let alone care to hear about How you don't drink and your subtle shots trying to pass judgment. Story 17. Used this one time I was at a party, and this hefty woman stopped the music, told a remember one story of some sort and forced everyone at the party to look at her dancing to Madonna. Material Girl, that song is for minutes long, but I swear, it feels as long as my entire 20s. Why would she do that? Assert dominance, I still wonder. Story 18. My most vivid memory of a party abruptly ending. At a friend's house, big house party going on, we're hanging out in the living room. MMA is still relatively new to the mainstream, so every guy thinks he's an MMA all-star. All the sudden point to guys, friends. Start play wrestling in the center of the room, on guy get the other in a chokes the guy out to the point of entirely passing out. Blue lips, non-responsive, at the time a lifeguard. Start giving the rescue breathing, chest compressions, guy slowly starts to regain consciousness, and then loudly proceeds to shit and piss himself. The place just reeks. And that was the end of the party. People cleared out before the EMTs even got there. It was just me, the friend who owned the house, or at least her parents did, the guy who got choked at, and the guy who did the choking.